Hello there, Spaghetti here. I just wait. What? What's happening? Wait. Well, that just happened. Hi guys, I want to welcome you to another video. In my first ever video, not to actually be talking about Undertale or Deltarune. Instead, I want to be talking about FNAF. If you know FNAF, I believe you know Undertale, as for some reason, those two fandoms, despite how different the two games are so connected that it's insane. If you're watching this video, then you should know what Charlie87 or Charlie is. You clicked on this because you know at least the surface of FNAF lore. I'll be working with that fact. Before we start, please consider liking, subscribing, and or commenting your opinion on this video. It helps a ton. I really want to do YouTube at least as a part-time thing, and any interaction helps and motivates me to actually make these videos. Now, let's get into it. What is Charlie blank? First, we should discuss what Charlie83 and Charlie87 is. Yes, you should know the surface, but these names are very vague, so we should first try and explain what they mean. Charlie83, the theory that Charlie Emily, the puppet, and Henry Emily's daughter, was the first to die after the bite of 83, or maybe even before, but that's not as popular. Charlie87, the theory that Charlie was the very last to die after the bite of 83, and MCI. So, since I'll call these two theories Charlie83 and Charlie87, you should know what they mean, just so that we are on the same page. Other terms I'll be using are Midnight Motorist, MCI, Missing Children's Incident, DCI, Dead Children's Incident. Phone guy's name is Ralph, I'll be calling him as such, and the Big Bite of 83. Let's get Andrew out of the way while we're on it. In this video, and most others I'll make in the future, I'll be working with that Andrew is not a canon character in the games and is rather a representation of Cassidy. So no, Andrew Midnight Motorist or Andrew Victim is not going to be discussed here. Mustard Man is William Afton here. This video will explain these two theories on more of a surface level. I don't want to discuss the whole FNAF lore. I want to someday, but this isn't the video to do so. I'll link videos to both theories that go way much more in detail. They're like literally movie length, but watch mine first. This video will be in parts that go like this. Evidence for both theories, taking all evidence and making a timeline out of it, and lastly, the cons of both theories, what evidence of both are not as good and can be explained differently to either support the other theory or shouldn't be used in general. I'll try my best to be as unbiased as I can in these sections and give my actual thoughts at the end of the video. However, I do think some bias will shine through. I'll also put numbers and letters in the corner of the screen to be clear of what point I'm talking about. So, let's talk about the more fandom favorite first, Charlie83. The evidence for Charlie83 is overwhelming, mostly because Charlie87 was actually starting to be discussed just a while ago. A year or so. It was always here, but only now the fandom is actually starting to consider it. Let's go over these. Again, only in a nutshell. I do want to make a whole video about the FNAF lore, however school is starting or has started by the time I'm posting, so I won't have as much time. Evidence. Charlie died in Fredbear's in the novels. In the novels, Silver Eyes, Fourth Closet, Twisted Ones, Charlie died at Fredbear's and her gravestone specifically says 1983. 1983 as a code to get the puppet plush in Helpwadin 2. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator Insanity ending.
A wound first inflicted on me.
Henry specifically says that the wound was first inflicted on him, which most saw as a definitive period to Charlie83. Give gifts, give life. Charlie giving MCI life, therefore she had to be first. FNAF 2 minigame Give Gifts and Give Life is Charlie giving life to the children. Which, when this game came out, people thought that it was Charlie literally stuffing the MCI into their respective suits, which is definitely not it. Instead, it's now seen as her showing the children the way. MCI happens, Charlie is already in the puppet and helps them possess their respective animatronic. Now, with the evidence provided, let's make a timeline. It's 1983. William Afton is driving home, drunk and angry. It can't be that long after his son, Cece, or Dave, died by the hands of Fredbear. Grieving, he drives close to the pizzeria, a sister location to Fredbear's, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where he sees a lone girl standing in the rain. The green bracelet makes it clear who it is. Charlie, his co-worker's daughter. William slowly approaches. "Uncle William, what are you doing here?" says the little girl. William doesn't respond. "I'm stuck here. The kids inside locked the door." William clutches his fists, his drunk fury only growing stronger. "Uncle William, can you..." William doesn't remember how he did it, but he sees the now dead Charlie in front of him. He drags her into the back alleyway and drives away. Later that night, the minigame that people think takes place after Charlie's death, after William let take rage over him. The same rain spike and the fact William seems to be kicked out of JR's because of how drunk he already is. He drives home, with the first blood on his hands, first wound, first inflicted on Charlie's father, Henry Emily. Charlie is then awakened as the puppet, waiting. She then sees William luring children into the back room. It's the daytime and she can't do anything though. At night, she can move and sees the souls of 4 children close to their animatronics. She shows them the way and gives them life. Well, that was a lot. Still not done though, as we still have the cons. We went into this theory fully believing it, but let's see how those points may not be as strong as people think. Novels are not canon. It has been specifically stated that the novels are not canon. While the short storybooks are supposed to tell you what's happening in the games, novels are not. The bear in FNAF 2 minigame Give Cake to the Children is not golden. It is a brownish bear with black hat, which is associated with Freddy. Fredbear has a purple hat and bow tie. Freddy has a black one. Security puppet being at Fredbear's doesn't make much sense. Why would they need security for kids going out of the restaurant alone if there were no murders? There was a bite. That was a spring lock failure, and most likely not even that, as Fredbear was just moving his mouth up and down in the animatronic mode. No child abduction, no missing children. Henry is not a great father and can take the incident selfishly. A wound that only when happened to him was so bad. He only closed a few pizzerias, but only after Charlie did he actually become determined to get William. Possession is only after ghosts find their bodies. It doesn't have to be right after they died. She could have died in 87 and showed MCI their bodies. Steel Wool could have just made it into an Easter egg to make it easier for fans to know what to do. If we go by this logic, we also entered the code 1979 to get the tiger plush, David Murray's toy. If he could have died in 1979, and many people thought so, but in Secret of the Mimic, people found out that David died either in 1975 or 1977. Let's have a look on the other theory, and how things might not be how they seem at first sight. Let's take our prejudice to Charlie87 and try to see things in a different angle. Possession is only after ghosts find their bodies, which means Charlie could have given them life even if she was last. They were confused and couldn't find their bodies, as they were stuffed into suits. Charlie helped them find their bodies and give them life, even as the last one to die. If Fredbear's shut down, and we consider the fact that Fredbear's and Freddy's were open at the same time and the MCI died there, then we would still be moved to the FNAF 2 location, where Charlie got killed. For Henry's absence, Henry could have been in jail or in questioning, as the culprit was already caught and convicted. And the reason she was locked out is because the kids didn't want the child of a murderer there. Or he was just not paying attention, but I don't want to go with the latter this time, as him being in jail would make more sense for his absence in most of the games too. Security Puppet being at the FNAF 2 location makes more sense as discussed in the cons of Charlie87. They would only have a security bot to watch kids and not let them go anywhere alone after the MCI. It just makes more sense. Midnight Motorist car in 5 laps at Freddy's that says 87 on dice. It's on the Midnight Motorist car, which means to suggest that the minigame happened in 1987. Newsflash, you can't get 8 and 7 on a normal dice, so it should have been something really important. The other thing in 87 that we know of was the bite, but what has Midnight Motorist and William got to do with that? It wasn't mentioned once, but then never mentioned again. It wasn't important, especially not to William, in my opinion. Phone Guy, or Ralph, mentions what is happening outside. Has nothing to do with this. If the DCI is true, and the bodies were just scattered around the restaurant, Ralph couldn't even say this. And any other event aside from DCI, if Charlie wasn't killed, is not possible. What else would happen when we are still Jeremy on the shift? Therefore, we were not bitten. However, Charlie was killed outside of the pizzeria, close by but not in there, meaning that Fazbear's Entertainment can claim this. Let's take the evidence and make a timeline out of it, and then let's get to the cons of this theory. It's 1987, many years after the Big Bite and 2 years after the MCI. William is slowly finding out about Remnant. However, he wants to try something different. Why not try to kill outside the restaurant? Will the soul still latch onto an animatronic? William already has someone in mind. His jealousy didn't leave him even after all these years. He knows about the special green bracelet. Maybe, even if it follows, he can at least take care of it so nothing can later stop him to take more of the children to the back room. We are in the FNAF 2 location. The 5 souls followed close behind their respective animatronics to every location. Still, they are not possessing their animatronics. They're confused and don't even realize they're dead. Henry is still in questioning, William thinks. Perfect time to strike. It's like fate is playing right into his hands. He didn't even plan to get her this night, but the other children did him a favor, locking Charlie out of the restaurant. If he could, he would shake their hands and personally thank them. What's not as great is that they also put a heavy box on the puppet. Well, he can take care of it later. The scene plays the same. William is still drunk, however, he isn't powered by rage, but by envy and fascination. Once Charlie gets out of the window's view, William notices the puppet getting out. Henry, you cheeky little bastard. You really wanted her safe, huh? 2 birds with 1 stone, William chuckles. The rain will get it, surely. William drives home, satisfied. Charlie awakens. She is not confused. She sees her body immediately. The puppet's mode makes her walk back to the pizzeria. Broken, but working. This can explain why the puppet doesn't really show as a plaything, as it's constantly off due to the rain damage. At night, she can move freely. She sees 4 children. She knows what's happening. That's why her father is gone right now. It's them. However, they are not like her. They're confused, scared. She approaches them and gives them life, all those years later. I deliberately left out Cassidy out of this, as I believe she saw her body and or crying child helped her. Let's get to the cons of this theory. We have to jump through quite a few loops to get the answer to both, but I feel like Charlie87 is more of a but what if, instead of actually looking at many years of small scrambles of teamwork put together. Many have pointed out that if we look at 87 in an angle, it says 83, which could very much be the case. 5 laps at Freddy's doesn't have to be canon, and can be taken as a filler/joke game like in Space with Freddy, etc. Fazbear's Entertainment is a very shady company and could have made Ralph state that it happened outside. If Ralph would say it is up to debate. Well, As unbiased as I wanted to be, I think that it's clear what theory I lean towards more. I couldn't find much cons to this theory, because it just seems so perfect in a storytelling perspective. It is way more satisfying. And I do see the fact that Scott, most likely did mean it that way, making so many hints and such, and we were just ignorant to this. And I think that if I did tell 8-year-old me that Charlie was the last one to die, I think they would faint. But after Fazbear's and Eternia video, and my own dive into the lore, this theory just makes so much more sense. I also love to step out of my comfort zone. Don't be fooled. I was like everyone else who dismiss every theory that gets in the way of their headcanons. But after stepping out of the fanon timeline, I feel like these games have gotten better for me. The lore isn't frustrating, yes it is, but it's more fun to dive into. What the fuck are the shadows? I love to make my own theories on what the lore is, and I'd love to make this more of a stable content on here. Did the DCI happen? Oh my god, help me! I like the pure evil William more than the sad and misunderstood one. I love to think that he did most things out of pure malice and insanity. Many people point out to the fact that 5 Laps at Freddy's isn't canon. I mean, of course it isn't. But as Fazbear's Entertainment pointed out, this game was literally the first time we heard of Edwin Murray. It isn't canon, but it is trying to clear things up. Steel War is trying to clear up the 1983 code. That's what every Five Nights at Freddy's game is about. It's trying to clear up what the previous game said. Hey, the code wasn't her death date. It's just a cool Easter egg and a nudge to sister location. Does take place after her death, and so please take this to understand when it was. If Charlie died in 83 and the MCI happened in 85, why wouldn't she interfere? It honestly makes Charlie sound like not as good of a protector, does it? And the puppet might not even be in the original MCI location. Again, Fredbear's doesn't make sense, and before the MCI, a security puppet to watch over lonesome kids doesn't make that much sense either. If she died in 87 and helped the MCI, then she would still be the saint-like figure we all know. The MCI didn't die under her watch. She protected them the moment that she could, and after she could, she tried to protect them to the fullest and give them their happiest day. This video was heavily inspired by Fazbear's Entertainment and their Charlie87 video. You're great, dude. I remember I subbed to you like 400 subs when the Charlie87, the first part of it came out, and it was like a few hours after I just saw it in my feed, and I was like, oh my god. So if you see this video, I think I'll win in life. Please check out their video if you haven't already. This is all for now, folks. Please comment your opinion on anything I said in this video. Let's just be critical towards each other. This is not a video that is hypnotizing you to believe Charlie87, but it also isn't a nod to call me names or harass me in any way. Let's be civil. And let's not forget, this is just a theory, a game!